So let's have kind of a goofy question where, say, Elon Musk just watched this podcast. He got your email address and he says, "I want to give you all the money that you need to do whatever you want." How would you spend that? How would you guys try and revolutionize the world using your FROs and limitless funding?
It's not that different from what we're trying to do now. So we're sort of acting as if we're in not, some weak approximation of that scenario. So yeah, I mean, I really like this idea of bottleneck analysis. I really like this idea of technology road mapping. I really like this idea of trying to analyze this differential technology development thing. And, you make a list. And again, I don't think it's thousands, because I think there's a lot that the world can just do in the existing structures, right? So and I'm not going to individually solve every science problem, right? So it's basically like, given our lever here, I think we find the top, 20 or 30 FROs, which adds up to not even a fraction of Elon's total net worth, actually, right? I think with a few billion, actually, we could kind of tile the space of FROs. And then a lot of the rest could be done with for-profit vehicles or other things.
And I don't think that's a silly question. I think it's exactly the question to be asking everybody, because I think that these highly impactful opportunities are out there. So whether that happens through us, whether that happens through FROs, the idea being, if you have something exceedingly impactful, a new institution, a new type of research, pursue it. Assume that there is funding for really awesome, highly impactful, high expected value ideas, and figure out how to turn all the right claps. That's not a saying. How to turn all the right keys at the right time to make it happen.
Yeah, I think the most pernicious mode is if we just don't talk about it, right? So there's all these great project ideas, but it's kind of, you can't get a grant to do that. You can't. It would kind of damage your academic career. It kind of would look weird for investors. So you're just not going to talk about it at all. You're not going to try to raise money for that or build a team for that. If you can break out of that, and if we contribute to that by saying, well, there's this idea of an FRO, and some of them have been funded and more of them will be funded. But if mostly what we're doing is we're just kind of causing people to talk about the thing, then actually, yeah, then Elon will fund it if it's a good idea, probably. If it's, or somebody will fund it, right?
This could be things like, changing the way the grants are done to be from a lottery, right? In theory, someone with a large pot of funds could just run that experiment. I've read a lot about how, potentially, it is as good or better than how we currently do grant making. It could be spinning up new core spaces, if we core resources, if we think it'd be really useful. I think that all of these are potential opportunities, and talking about them and getting other people who are excited and making the right connections, it's all very possible.
So I guess it's kind of a meta question then. What is the bottleneck to the FROs? If it's not funding, is it people? Is it staff?
I think we can use more funding, for sure.
I think that there's some sort of matching algorithm between a really great team, a really great good idea for an FRO, and funders. And I think that kind of going through that and figuring out who the right people are and what the right idea is, fairly high touch and fairly high finesse, because there isn't a playbook and there's not a marketplace for it the way that there are with startups. And so creating kind of how that system works is right now what the big bottleneck is. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also talented people to come in of various kinds. So operational people that complement science backgrounds, people at doing multiple parts of the process, right? There are these cross-disciplinary teams, and FROs, at least as they're done now, I mean, they are nonprofits, right? And so it's not like you're going to become Mark Zuckerberg in 4 years by joining the FRO. You're going to solve some really important problem, and you're going to work with an awesome team. You might be at the birth of a new industry and stuff, but a lot of people want more career security or what have you. And so I think it's going to be great, and it will self-select for people that want to do this, and we'll also be able to create really attractive, structures for that to be done in. But to be honest, I mean, there is an experiment, which is who joins these, who funds these, and then how much failure tolerance do those have, because there's going to be some of them that fail. So, we kind of just have to run the experiment. And the more support we can get to run the experiment, and the more talented people run that experiment themselves, the more likely it is to succeed. And then once it succeeds, then I think you have the self-sustaining thing where people can go through from one FRO to another, and it's much more high probability that one gets funded, and those people go off, and then they later do other things that create other structures, and then the whole thing just works. But we're at a point where we have to prototype the first few, and we have to get consistent funding for those.